Hi there, Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time. Hi there, how the heck's it going? Still going through the book by Isaac and Sargent, Explaining the Unexplained. I wish they'd chosen a better title for this, but never mind. And the book is going on. And it's now talking about the effect of belief as opposed to disbelief in psi phenomenon. And there was a mention earlier on with the experiments done by Schmidt that some people would consistently score below chance, not above chance. And of course there's a bit of a question mark about that, as in why on earth would that be? But in 1942 we got this this woman called Gertrude Schmeidler, who deliberately investigated people on the grounds of whether they were believers in psi phenomenon as opposed to whether they were disbelievers, and she called this the sheep, namely the believers, and the goats, namely the disbelievers, which is obviously quite a cool term. Did an experiment in 1942 and found that those who were within the sheep category, namely the believers, would consistently score above chance, and significantly so. And those in the goats camp, so to speak, would score below chance, demonstrating the same psi missing effect, as it's called by the researchers, within those who did not believe. So mental attitude has got quite an important part to play. But of course, one particular experiment is not good enough for one to be able to develop a reasonable working understanding of how this particular phenomenon could work. And it will make sense that Gertrude Schmeidler recognized this, because between 1945 and 1951 she did another 14 experiments and found the same results. Namely, there was there's a significant correlation between the mental attitude towards the phenomena itself and to whether they would score above or below chance. Also, this was done on ordinary people. This was not done on people who claimed to have some kind of psychic ability. They were not professional mediums or spiritualists, and the odds against chance of the results gained by Gertrude Schmeidler was, as it says here, comfortably exceeding 10 million to 1. Alright, so again, if you personally were in the position of being a scientist, a proper scientist who understands statistical analysis and all the rest of that, and you had to look at these figures, and you had to look at the figures which came out of the work with Schmidt, again, we're starting to see a big pattern here, that there are some very real scientific proofs that something is going on. Obviously, precisely what the mechanism is, what the phenomena is, and all the rest of that, that's still up to speculation. But we actually have very real, hard and fast scientific studies here, which is demonstrating that psi phenomenon is essentially real, but it works within within the boundaries of chance. There's always going to be the occasional miss and all the rest of that, but essentially the results are, when taken as a whole, are seriously, significantly above average. But yet some of this research is regarded as being wrong or negative or woo, or whatever the phrase that the skeptics want to use this particular week is. As as Dean Radin suggested, there is this taboo or prejudice against what is essentially a very real force within the universe. This is demonstrated by scientists, real, proper scientists, using real, proper scientific methodology. Alright, with the right variety of statistical analysis and all the rest of that. The particular effect which has been mentioned here, as it says here, again, still being written about by Isaac and Sargent, good people, that this same effect has stood the test of time. And the same effect has been demonstrated and proven by lots of other researchers, going right up to towards the end of the 20th century. Of course, this book was not published within recent days. It was published in 1993, I think it says, in 1993. So that's as far as this book goes. So one can assume that there's been more research done by specialists within the field of parapsychology that's also corroborated the same phenomenon. So this science of parapsychology is evidently growing and developing quite substantially, and we're talking about a science that's been going on since the 1930s, and so it's not inconsiderable. And to try and wipe this stuff out from history or censor it is the wrong thing to do, because this is seriously saying something about us as human beings, of what we're capable of what we ourselves can actually achieve, and something to do with the natural world around us. Speak to you shortly.